Hey everybody, welcome to today's video. I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt and you're tuning into another video on Honduran Corruption Profiles. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about Juan Carlos Bonilla Valladares, also known as El Tigre. He was a Honduran National Police chief and is currently indicted by the DEA and federal prosecutors in New York for being involved in narcotics trafficking, drug smuggling, human rights abuses, and we'll be delving into what has he done. So let's dive into discussing who is Juan Carlos Bonilla Valladares El Tigre. He is a longtime police official in Honduras. He served as a police officer from 1985 until 2016, and he's believed to be about 60 years old. In 2002, he was accused of being involved in an extrajudicial murder and was put on prosecution, but in 2004, it was let go when the prosecutor quit mid-trial and it was expunged from his record. Then in 2012, he ended up being made the head chief of the Honduras National Police and served in that position for 1 year from 2012 until 2013. In 2013, he was pressured to resign because of lots of corruption and human rights scandals surrounding him, and even the U.S. government pushed for his resignation. After he resigned from that post, he continued being a police officer until his retirement in 2016. So in April 2020, Bonilla was named and indicted by U.S. federal prosecutors and the DEA for being involved in cocaine trafficking. Jeffrey Berman, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, and Wendy Woolcock, a DEA agent with a Special Operations Division, announced April 30th, 2020, that Juan Carlos Bonilla Valladares was charged in Manhattan Federal Court for conspiring to import cocaine into the United States and related weapons and offenses involving the use of machine guns. Jeffrey Berman went on also to say, quote, Juan Carlos Bonilla Valladares, the former chief of the Honduran National Police, allegedly abused his positions in Honduran law enforcement to flout the law and play a key role in violent international drug trafficking conspiracy. As alleged on behalf of convicted former Honduran Congressman Tony Hernandez and his brother, the president, Bonilla Valladares oversaw the transshipment of multi-ton loads of cocaine bound for the U.S., used machine guns and other weaponry to accomplish that, and participated in extreme violence, including the murder of a rival trafficker to further the conspiracy. Now Bonilla Valladares has been marked as an outlaw and charged with crimes that could send him to a U.S. prison for life. End of quote. The reference to the murder of a rival trafficker refers to the 2011 murder of Freddy Arita. He was a Honduran drug trafficker who was murdered allegedly by the Honduras police under the command of Juan Carlos Bonilla, and the murder is alleged to have been on behalf of Juan Antonio Hernandez, that he wanted a rival drug trafficker killed and taken out of the way, and Juan Carlos Bonilla Valladares helped make that possible, using the police to kill Freddy Arita. So other accusations against Bonilla includes that he also ran other death squad activity while in the Honduras police. Currently, Juan Carlos Bonilla rejects and denies all the accusations being made against him. He recently said in response on television in Honduras that all the charges against him are false, and he states that he tried to clean up law enforcement in Honduras and that it's a smear campaign against him, and he is prepared to fight all the charges being made against him. Currently, he is not being pressured to be extradited to the United States at this time. What I'd also like to add is that the national police chiefs of Honduras, after this man who took over, have also been involved in criminal scandals, including Jose-David-Aguilar-Moran, who is alleged in an article by the Chicago Tribune that he was involved in lots of cocaine smuggling, and he was the police chief after Bonilla resigned. And after Moran, another Honduras National Police chief, leonel-sauceda, he was arrested and removed from his position just this year on February 11th, 2020, after only serving as the national police chief for 2 weeks. He was arrested in February for cocaine trafficking and money laundering charges. He and his wife were arrested. And this just shows, the sad pattern of how entrenched the corruption is in Honduras law enforcement and the leadership of it. So after watching this video, it really paints a bleak image of law enforcement in Honduras. The security forces, the police, and the military just have a long, entrenched corruption pattern, and it just never ends. The United States pours so much military aid and money into training these people to fight drugs, and instead of fighting drugs, they're working with drug smugglers. They're participating in the drug trade. They're abusing all the military aid and training from the United States. They're not a reliable ally in the fight against drugs. I would like to share a quote from the current Secretary of Homeland Security for the United States, Chad Wolf. He said in January that Honduras is an example of security and prosperity in Central America, and also called Honduras a reliable ally against the fight of drug trafficking. Well, everything that's coming out now kind of contradicts everything that Secretary Chad Wolf says. And I also want to add that Honduras is the fourth poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, so they're not an example of prosperity in Central America. And the U.S. State Department even says on its website that Honduras is on the reconsider travel list. That means that they urge Americans to please reconsider before you even travel to Honduras. And the State Department website includes that the police in Honduras are ill-equipped at fighting crime. So that dispels the whole claim from Secretary Chad Wolf that Honduras is an example of security in Central America. I'm confident that more major Honduran political figures are going to be exposed because the DEA is investigating them, and more of the ugly truth about the Honduras government is going to come out. And the United States backing this government in Honduras is going to look more and more indefensible. It's going to come to the point that the U.S. is going to have to own up to it and clean up its act. Remember, the United States worked with a narco government, Panama, for many years back in the 1980s, working with the likes of General Manuel Noriega, until it got to be too much of a public embarrassment for the United States. And it's happening all over again.
Good morning.